What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but I'm here with a product review of something that I've been using for more than a year now. It's this thing right here. It's the Parani M10 Boom Intercom / helmet sound system. Okay, I'll start off with why I bought this product specifically and not any others on the market. Essentially, I had one of the 1800 to 2000 rupee cheap helmet Bluetooth systems on my old Studs helmet, but I crashed and that helmet got disposed of. The system was still fine, but when I got this Axor helmet, the old system had the speakers really thick, so they were continuously pressing on the side of my head. So sound quality was not actually the primary reason to upgrade. It was the fact that the cheaper systems do not have space optimization in their speakers, so they don't fit in the given Bluetooth cavities of these slightly mid to high-end helmets that well. So I sold the old one to a friend of mine. It was still working perfectly, and then I was browsing in the slightly higher category, the higher budget range for these intercoms. So in the sort of 5 to 10,000 rupee price bracket, there are quite a few options around, and I'm like, I wasn't locked on the fact that I want to spend more than 5,000 rupees. If I got something lower than that with good enough reviews from people I know, I would have got that as well. So you have Blue Armor, VNet Phone, Parani obviously, and a couple of others. The main draw that drew me to buying the Parani M10 rather than these other systems was the design. It's a very small and compact system. It looks good on the helmet, whereas some of the others are very bulky, have lots of these chunky buttons and a massive antenna which makes your helmet look like a Wi-Fi router, which wasn't so appealing to me. Now, VNet Phone has a lot of good reviews. I know a lot of people personally who use that device, but design is something that I prioritize on quite a high level while buying these things. And in addition to that, a friend of mine also highly recommended this Parani system. He'd been using it for quite a while and said that it had helped him out on his rides as well, since you can use mesh connectivity with other riders who also have Parani systems. Also, it said backed by Sena, which I still don't completely understand what that means, but it's good having a premium high-end product name, brand name within the circle of this price bracket when you're buying. It just gives you some sort of mental reassurance. Okay, so why the Parani M10 and the A10? Well, that decision was pretty straightforward for me. It was basically 6,500 rupees for both of them when I was buying it around a year ago. But the reason I bought the M10 is because of this dial right here. The dial is just so nice to use, okay? While on the go, just toggling between audio tracks, switching between podcasts, or adjusting the volume, whatever, the dial is really ergonomic. Also, coming back to the original problem, the speakers are super thin, so inside they don't touch your head at all. It's basically like having stereo sound on the inside of your helmet. It's super nice. Just quickly cycling back a little bit, the reason why I'm so adamant on having one of these things is because my commute is a lot. It's around 45 to 48 kilometers per day, which is a lot, and it's just a straight highway. It gets super boring, and it's just nice to have some music or a podcast playing in the background. And once you get used to that, it's kinda hard to go back. Alright, diving into the usage review of the product. With the Parani M10 Boom, you get two options of mounts in the box. You get the sticky mount, which is what I've used, and you also get a clamp mount, which essentially is better than the sticky mount because the layer of adhesion when you use the glue to stick it on can sometimes damage the shell of the helmet. But with the Axor, it's kind of difficult to use that because it has the double visor mechanism on the side, so that kind of robs you of that clamping space. Sound quality is way better than the cheap 1800 to 2000 rupee headsets, but do not expect sound quality compared to a 7,000-8,000 rupee earphone or a headphone. That's not the right frame of reference. That's what I did essentially. It's not the correct way of doing that, because the priority of this system is to essentially be an integrated part of your helmet and serve for music, podcast and communication needs. The audiophilic application is not very evident here because that is not the highest priority. So if you set your expectation looking for a maybe 7,000-8,000 rupees skull candy indie Evo kind of sound quality, noise cancellation, you're not gonna get that. It also works better with different genres of music, so the less layering there is in the music, the more crisp the audio is. So I listen to a lot of hip hop, so it works out pretty well with this because there's not a lot of overlapping beats, instrumentals. There's pretty simple metronome going on in the background, and vocals are the primary source. So treble and vocals are pretty good, pretty solid. Bass is on the weaker side, but again, better than an ASG or an 1800 rupee, one of those cheap headsets. As far as these headsets go in this price bracket, it's a reasonable amount of bass. And remember, you're going to be listening while you're riding, so the fact that the speakers are slightly away from your ears also reduces the sound quality a bit because they're not inside your ears like earphones would be, but you get a lot of awareness while riding, and that's the most important thing while using one of these devices. The buttons are still working fantastically, the dial is rigid as ever, and the top and the side buttons are working as well. One thing I noticed is while accepting calls, you have to press the button on the top, not the dial button. Sometimes it doesn't register on the first click, so if the phone starts ringing, you press it once, it might not register, you might have to do it once or twice. Then it gives you a beeping sound and lets you know that the call has been accepted. So the top button is not the most responsive when it comes to accepting calls. On the topic of calls though, the microphone is a 10 out of 10. Like, my friends sometimes have to be told, like, I need to mention while I'm on a call, like, bro, I'm on my bike, and they were surprised the initial first few times. Now they've kind of understood what my voice sounds like inside the helmet, so not a deal breaker again. But the wind and noise isolation from the microphone from your end is supreme. Like, that is a highlight that I did not buy it for, but it's definitely a product highlight that I got. The display is kind of a gimmick. I mean, it looks cool, but it's essentially to toggle between phone modes and intercom modes and check what your battery status is. So the application that I most use it for is the battery. So you get a 3-bar system, pretty basic, but it lets you know when you have to charge it rather than just directly getting the low battery alert, which in this device is kind of pointless because the battery dies about a minute and a half after you get the alert. So it's not really giving you time to sort of consider that, okay, I have to go home and charge this now. Gives you alert in a minute and a half, it's gone. Not the best optimized timing for that, but at least it's got a Type-C charging port, which is super fast. I charge it once a week, sometimes twice if I have used my bike and my helmet a lot. But remember that I go to college approximately 4 times a week, so that's an hour and a half multiplied by 4 just in weekdays, 6 hours. Add another hour and a half for the weekend just for commuting, 7.5 hours. So 7.5 hours listening time comfortably you're gonna get, which I think is plenty considering how small the package is. Also, the fact that you can clamp it on and off super easily is very useful, because sometimes when you park your bike and wire lock the helmet to the seat, you don't want to leave that there, right? So you can just unclamp it and put it in your backpack and go away. So I actually used this today morning. I went for a 5-kilometer run, parked my bike, took it off, put it in my fanny pack. Because it's so small, it's just very manageable. I haven't actually used the intercom mesh feature because my core riding group doesn't really have these things. I mean, 1 or 2 guys do, but they're the ASG ones and they're working very well for them, which is fine. But that's a feature that I haven't tested yet. But the friend who recommended me this device says it works very well. He's been using it for a while. All things considered, 6,500 rupees is a large sum of money, especially if you're a student like me. It took me a while to save up for this. It was a combination of my remaining internship stipend from a while back, plus some Diwali gift money that I got from my grandparents and parents. It was kind of a mixture of that. Fun fact, the helmet is actually cheaper than the system on it. The helmet which is up top, it's probably not in the frame right now, but my Tivra helmet is more expensive, but I haven't put this on that yet. So, should you spend 6,500 rupees to buy the Parani M10 Boom? If you have a group of people who have Parani devices, it's a no-brainer. I think you should definitely go for it. Or if you fit into my category and you do a lot of commuting and you just need something to keep your daily commute a bit interesting while also keeping yourself safe on the road, it's a great option. Because again, the cheap ones might not cut it for you if it's doing the job great. For me, I just needed that slightly better sound quality, slightly better volume, and the thinner speakers which fit into the helmet better. Remember, if the speakers are even touching your head slightly, it's going to get painful in a while. So I think that spending in a system which is better space optimized is going to be better for your head, for your ears in the long run. And I think this is one that you should definitely consider. It's lighter than the competition, it's more sleek than the competition. The design gels better with your helmet, it doesn't have any ugly antennas sticking around. Again, I'm not saying those are bad systems, but if you just care about visual appeal of your whole gear set like I do, then the Paranis are really good. The M10 as well as the A10. Right now, I believe the price has been increased a bit. It's around 7,500, but I still think it's a good bet. I got it from Modo Central. You might get a discount there. They sell their products at very good prices. There are sometimes discounts going on, and if you go to the store in Nanapet, Pune, they'll be happy to assist you. So that's it for the Parani M10 Boom review. Drop any comments regarding if you have any queries, and you can also get in touch with me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. Ride safe.